Wir sind hier in Markneukirchen bei Framus und Warwick. Gestern gab es eine große Veranstaltung. Hier wurde präsentiert, dass Roger Sadowsky, der hier neben mir sitzt, eine Kooperation mit Warwick eingegangen ist und dass seine Sadowsky-Bässe hier in Deutschland gebaut werden und auch weltweit vertrieben werden von hier. Er wird weiter seinen Shop in New York behalten und seine Custom-Made-Instrumente machen. Alles andere wird hier gemacht. Und wir reden jetzt mit ihm ein bisschen, wir müssen aber in Englisch reden, weil du sprichst kein Deutsch.
Hi.
I ask you if you speak German.
Oh, nein.
Okay, that was the proof. I just explained where we are, what we're doing.
Of course.
And that you don't speak, that we have to do it in English. So you look really happy.
I am. I couldn't be happier.
We learned yesterday about the whole procedure, how it was built up, how it was doing, how you came up with the idea. And you work together with Hans-Peter Wilfer from Warwick and with Marcus, who's the production manager. But yesterday you had the same impression like we had because you saw the basses for the first time.
Right.
So we had a curtain coming down. And so what was your impression when you saw the basses?
I could not have been more happy with the quality of the instruments, and I have to thank Marcus Spangler for just doing an amazing job. When I wanted to do this type of project, the most important thing to me was finding the best factory in the world to work with. And I had visited Warwick before, and I was just so impressed, not only with the fact that the factory is green and carbon neutral, but just the quality of the factory and Marcus's skills, and not only the production side, but the wood side. That Marcus came out. Before Warwick, Marcus was a lumber supplier, a wood supplier, and the wood that they have outside in their shed, it blows my mind. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it's not only the kind of wood they have, but also how they treat it. And
how old it is. I mean, they have neck wood sitting there that dated 2002. So that, to me, that's. I don't think there's any place else in the world I could have that.
Good. Yeah, we're happy because, as I mentioned before at breakfast this morning, Made in Germany came up from the British and they wanted to show how bad things could be, but the Germans said, we can do it, yes we can, and they tried to make the best.
You know, German cars, German watch. I wear a German watch at home. German quality is.
It changed a lot.
It's phenomenal.
But we have one other thing, because there were some comments on the internet yesterday when everything was published. You haven't sold your company.
I have not sold my company. Right. This is a licensing and distribution agreement. So I've been manufacturing my Metro-Express and my Metro line in Japan for many years. So basically I'm transferring that to Warwick, not only for the manufacturing, but for worldwide distribution, which is what I didn't have in Japan.
And maybe we have to mention that Warwick has an office in the United States,
right?
And they have an office in China.
In China, yeah. And so it's not only the quality of their manufacturing, but the fact that they have international distribution was a very big factor for me in wanting to do this. I already feel like I'm part of the Wilfer family, between Hans-Peter and Florence and Nico. And I'm going to include Marcus as part of the family. You know, it's just a wonderful feeling to be working with them.
You don't see it so often in this industry that it's a family business.
Yes.
It's Hans-Peter and his wife and his son. It's incredible.
Yes. And the daughter will be joining the business in a year or two. And
she was working on
that
for a couple of years, doing all the artwork stuff. And she will come back, I'm sure.
She will, in finance, and that's what she's studying. And so, and the ability of Warwick to basically be able to make anything they want, for me, is incredible. whether it's components, the parts or the wood part or the level of tooling they have in the factory for making the necks and truing the fingerboards and the fretwork. It's just the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, and what I liked the most is maybe people thought, oh, it's going to be a Warwick with a Sadowsky stamp on it. They're completely different instruments.
Absolutely not. There's going to be no overlap between the Warwick designs and the Sadowsky designs.
And you pick them up, they're lightweight?
Well,
like
that's
yours?
part of my philosophy, is
Right.
lightweight basses. All the instruments will be under 4 kilos, and with the Masterbuilts being even lighter, because the Masterbuilts all will have chambered bodies, so they all have a top on top of the body. The Metro line will have the lightest possible woods from the warehouse selected, but not be chambered. And also, I specifically evaluated lightweight body woods for the Metro-Express production, and I chose a wood that I've been using for 15 years, which is called okume. It's a lightweight African wood. Tonally, it's great. So all the woods are being selected for lightweight, and then the top of the line Masterbuilt will have chambered bodies.
So it's really astonishing. It's completely different. They had to set up their production. I saw a guy programming yesterday.
Yes,
they have lots of automatic machines, but they have to adjust it to your instrument.
To make my instrument. It was a big challenge for Marcus, because all the tooling was designed for their necks,
right.
and especially the neck production was the biggest thing, and he had to rework the holding fixtures and the programming to be able to do my type of neck.
We went through the production yesterday, so we could see all the details which are on your basses.
Yes.
You have graphite fibers in the neck.
Right.
They have
two metal rods.
So it's you have the chambered bodies,
Right.
and so it's completely.
There's no overlap at all. Warwick will make Warwick basses, and Warwick will make Sadowsky basses.
That's good. It's two different worlds, but just one factory.
Right.
So what about the Chinese ones, the cheap ones?
The Chinese, no, not cheap
ones.
Less expensive.
Sorry, strong word.
The less expensive ones.
Yes. They really, They're
Well,
for the beginners.
Again, the thing that also really impressed me here is the fact that Warwick sends one of their production people over to China for 2 weeks every 6 weeks. So in a year, that would be 9 trips to China to supervise the production, inspect for quality. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't want to make anything in China. And so I was so impressed by the fact that they do that. And I don't know any other company, honestly, that does that to that extent. Usually the stuff comes in from China and goes to a warehouse, and then they have a guy in the warehouse inspecting everything.
Right.
But the fact that they do it in China before it ships out is amazing.
Great, yeah. And people can buy your New York instruments, they can buy German-made instruments in 2 lines, they can buy the inexpensive, I learned it, the Chinese ones.
Right, so we'll have three price points with Warwick. The Metro-Express will be the least expensive, the Metro line is the middle, and then the Masterbuilt is the high end. And then Hans Peter and I agreed that I would continue to have my own NYC, New York City shop, so that'll be Sadowsky NYC. And that will be a small workshop, and anybody who chooses to want to deal directly with us, we'll be happy to work with them.
One of our editors has been to your shop recently, and we're going to have this one in the magazine too. So
right.
People can see how it's done here, how it's done in your shop.
Sure.
So it's going to be interesting.
Right.
There's another thing I found interesting, because now you can make all your accessories available.
That's another big thing.
This is another thing, because it was hard to get in.
Sure. So I have my 2 preamp pedals. I have a drop-in preamp assembly that's mounted on a jazz bass control plate. But if you have a different bass, you can just drop the pots from the plate and mount it in any other instrument. So, I have a defined Sadowsky sound. sound, and a big part of that sound is my preamp that no one else has copied.
I have to mention that you deliver the preamps to Warwick.
Yeah.
That they don't copy it. You just do it, right?
Well, no, they have the schematics.
Okay, okay, that's how they do it.
You know, so for the prototypes, I sent them all the circuits, but they're going to be making it.
Okay,
but you know, to my schematic.
To your specs.
You know, they wanted to use a different preamp initially in the Chinese models, and I said absolutely not. It has to be a Sadowsky preamp.
I think that's what's important. You haven't sold your name, you haven't given it away, you just have the full control.
That's right, that's right.
I think this is important because then Sadowsky instruments can be that what your idea was when you
honestly, Marcus and I FaceTime probably at least once every day, especially with making the first run of instruments with how we're gonna, you know, can we do this? Can we do that? I'll say this is okay, this no, I don't like that. I want you to do it this way. So I still have full quality control, and I still have complete input on exactly what will be going into my instruments and how they'll be made.
And I met him. Actually, I met him first time I met him. He was working at the wood shop. The wood shop, and at that time, he was incredible experience already.
Yeah.
In woods, and he know everything about woods. He know. Actually, I looked up some of the species. I don't see the difference. He knows.
So one of the great strong connections for me with Marcus is the shared passion we have for wood, and also the understanding that the wood totally influences the sound of a solid body instrument. So again, I started out in 1972 making acoustic guitars, and so I still approach my solid body instruments as acoustic instruments. I can tell you how a maple fingerboard sounds, how an ebony fingerboard sounds, how a rosewood fingerboard sounds, the difference between an alder body, an okume body, a swamp ash body. So for me, it's all about the acoustic properties of the wood.
You told us yesterday, you advised everybody who's buying an instrument, just play it acoustically first, check if you like it, and then buy it.
Yeah, I think the better solid body guitar or bass sounds acoustically, the better it will sound.
I was doing reviews for all of my life, for 45 years now. That's what I did all the time. I played them acoustically first, you know, then I plug them in, and if you don't like the pickups, just change the pickup.
Yeah.
Or whatever. If you don't like the highs, turn them off.
Yeah.
But if the instrument is good.
Exactly. And that's what I learned back in the 70s. You know, I want to feel that instrument vibrating through my body when I play it. I totally agree.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a very nice year.
I do too. I think the match between Warwick and Sadowsky is a great one. And again, I only have the highest respect for Hans Peter and what he's done with this company and the factory.
Yeah, and what we like is what we always like. You can bring instruments to more people than before, because before it was limited to Japan.
Exactly.
And to high expensive.
Right. I didn't have I wanted to have an affordable price point where younger musicians could definitely afford my instruments, and still have it be 100% Sadowsky.
Yeah.
It'll feel like a Sadowsky. It'll sound like a Sadowsky.
Looks like a Sadowsky.
Yeah, weighs like a Sadowsky, you know. And so that's a wonderful opportunity to make my instruments more accessible, my accessories more accessible. So, you know, and really what I want to do is, you know, I want to be back at my workbench building instruments and spending less time running a business. So I'm a craftsman at heart. If I had won the lottery, I'd probably be a one-man shop. Really? And so that's what I'm looking forward to, is being able to spend more time at my workbench.
You just turned 70, right?
Yes.
So how long will you keep on going?
Well, I have to move my shop in June, and I just signed a 10-year lease for a new shop space.
Good.
So I'm in it for the long term. I have no desire to retire. I love my work. I don't play golf. I don't like Florida. You know, I mean, so my hope is I'll stay healthy long enough that I'll drop dead at my workbench.
Great.
Yeah.
So you're gonna stay in New York City?
Absolutely. I'm born and raised in New York. It's my favorite place to be, and my wife and I don't want to live anywhere else.
I found it interesting that from a New York perspective, it was totally different than from a Los Angeles perspective.
Yes.
Because in New York, the people has to have one base.
Right.
They have to go by taxi.
Yes, exactly. So in
You have to tell the
California, you know, a guy's doing a recording session. He can bring a trunk that holds as many as 8 instruments to his session, and he pulls out whatever the song requires. A New York session musician can only take what he can get on the subway or into a taxi. And so my goal was always to make an instrument that was as versatile as possible, but without extra knobs and without extra switches. You know, there used to be guitars back in the day, I'm sure you remember, they would get 30 different sounds, but only 2 were musical, you know.
I got the same guitar. I got the 345 and never used it.
Yeah, that very
Never used it.
Exactly, and that's only 6. You know, literally, there were guitars that got 30 different sounds.
I know.
And so that was never my approach. And between, you know, my preamp and everything else I bring to the table, my basses have gained a reputation with recording engineers and front of house sound guys who just cutting through perfectly in the mix. They don't have to fiddle with the board or anything to get a great sound out of my bass. And that's one of the biggest compliments when a front of house sound man or a recording engineer writes me just to tell me how perfect my bass records. You know, they don't have to do anything. That's a huge compliment to me.
Yeah. So if you would describe the Sadowsky sound in one sentence, how would you describe it?
Well, people describe it as a Sadowsky on steroids. Okay.
A Fender on a steroid.
A Fender on steroids. So basically, look, Leo Fender got an awful lot right the first time. And what I've done is I've taken that and brought it up to here. And the fact that so many working professional musicians play my instruments speaks for itself.
Yeah, good.
You know,
So we're gonna have more in the future.
we're going to have more.
Good.
Pleasure to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.